So everyone's probably got a couple questions on their minds, ranging from where the heck have I been to what is up with this tribute to 90s memorabilia. Yes, I know that the Xbox One and games that Crash and Spyro back there aren't legitimately from the 90s, but I couldn't find a copy of I don't own a copy of them physically on PlayStation to show off, but it's close enough. That is an actual backpack from the 90s, though. 1999. Yeah, that's a real living relic right there. As to where I've been, this channel isn't all that big. I film, as I've probably said, with just my phone. The only editing software I use, if at all, is InShot. And I can't really make videos every day since I unbox stuff that I find in stores or online. And I can't, despite what you may think, I can't buy something like almost every day. I can't buy new stuff almost every day, so I'm sorry if this channel can't really upload to keep up with YouTube's algorithms and all that jazz to stay relevant to what's popular, the way some people will vlog about what's out right now. That's Blood, It Chapter 2, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't really do that, but I don't do this channel to make any money off of it. I don't really need to. I just like to talk about what I'm passionate about. And what I'm passionate about is the decade I came from. Oh yeah, we're going back to the 90s. Not just with what you see here, but we have a special treat. This is Hasbro's Uncanny X-Men 80 years and a tribute to the 90s. This is a modern day figure released by Hasbro just a month or so ago. I managed to get, the last Wolverine and Silver Samurai. You'll see on the back that these aren't but these are, my favorite, figures out of all the set. And as you can see, it tributes 90s packaging on toys, because, well, that's one for the outtake reel, I guess. But, yeah, it tributes to 90s packaging, because it's got all this space here, got this nice artwork of Wolverine over here. And on the back, Wolverine is X-Men's greatest fighter, master of all forms of hand-to-hand combat, also has fearsome secret weapon, razor-sharp retractable adamantium claws that can slice through anything. Well, there probably would have been a text blurb in another language, maybe Spanish. There's several languages here. There probably would have been a lot more than just that and all this legal information. They probably, but they did get the showing the figures off over here. We have Wolverine, Storm, Dazzler, Iceman, Silver Samurai, Cyclops. Funny thing is, the Marvel Legends series also featured a couple of 90s characters from X-Force. Cannonball, Boom Boom, Thunder, I think Shatterstar, maybe Cable, but he might have been based off of his appearance in the Deadpool movie. And it was unrelated to this line, but X-Force and those characters were running at the same time. Although technically speaking, this Wolverine and this Silver Samurai, this style of Wolverine first appeared in his solo book, which started publication in late 1988, early 1989. This is from the second story arc, I believe? No, the first. The first story arc of Wolverine's solo title, which saw him in making his way from Madripoor, a fictional East Asian country in the Marvel Universe, to Japan to face his old nemesis, the Silver Samurai. To retrieve that right there, a cursed sword called the memorabella blade. And the reason why they gave Wolverine an outfit like this, in universe, the X-Men was considered a disbanded/dead team. Everyone was presumed dead, and they were going into hiding before their big comeback around 92, when the X-Men really took off with the animated series. But that's another story we'll have to get back into before I get sidetracked. So yeah. But a meta reason is because 1988 to 1992, and for some time after that, was the start of what's often called the Dark Age of comics. Now, and I've got a few examples of that right under here. And this period of comics is not looked back upon fondly by a lot of people. You had events like Batman getting his back broken, the death of Superman. This was all following in the wake of the lot darker and heavier subject matter that was printed in stories like Watchmen, Dark Knight Returns, The Killing Joke. they all published in the 80s, but they set the tone for much of the 90s. You had the old heroes like Superman and Batman getting killed off or replaced with newer, younger, and in some cases edgier and darker versions. I don't know if I had a copy of the main series Batman books, but yeah, this was like an exception. Batman in 92 basically had like some heavy armor. He had claws on his gauntlets that were razor sharp, even as far as having missile launchers in his shoulders, and huge shoulder pads that he had. And if you've ever seen like the old X-Men animated series, you'll probably get an idea of what they were going through at the time. And you had X-Force, which was an even more darker and edgier version of X-Men, if you can believe that. And after that got published, there was the foundation of Image Comics, and they created titles like Youngblood, Spawn, Savage Dragon. And yeah, a lot of people don't look fondly on those comics or that time in comics, but honestly, I like looking back because it reminds me of when, pretty much anything went in comics. Like nowadays, there's way too much there's way too much of a push to ground them into reality or tie them into current events. Now, it's not saying comics didn't always do that. They always reflected the world around them in some way or another. But the thing is, they put the high fantasy and adventure aspect first, and then they considered tying it into whatever was current or whatever was trendy or whatever was going on at the time. And yeah, it's always nice to go back and just look at this time period and think, yeah, this is what people really liked at one time. You had speculators who were buying comics like this up. Usually, not these, but there were a bunch of first issues that had like holofoil covers, and they claimed to be a collector's item because of how the first appearances of Superman and Batman were starting to reach a legendary status, and they were selling for hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And sometime after the 90s, I think around 2009 or so, their first appearances sold for over $1 million. That's how rare those issues had become by that point. But back to the topic on hand. So, as I said, the packaging here, which I've preemptively cut to get the figures out without damaging the cards, because I really like these cards. I want to start keeping older or cooler cards like this. These were based off of, although made by Hasbro, they were based off of Toy Biz's run of X-Men figures, which started... Toy Biz was actually a company founded by Marvel as something of a subsidiary... Oh, darn. Excuse me. I need something to prop this up. As a subsidiary of their products, so to speak, so they could start manufacturing, so they could get toys made out for mass market sale. Before, the only major company who worked with Marvel in the toy industry, I think was it Mattel who made the Contest of Champions line? I'm not sure, and I can't really look it up right now. I just want to talk about these. Gotta be quicker to get these out, but... And so Toy Biz was actually bought up by Hasbro sometime in the late 90s, early 2000s, and the rest is history. Hasbro is currently the producer of pretty much all Marvel-based figures. And I gotta say, this is a really nice line they made. The only thing missing is to bring back the Toy Biz name. Okay, so we've got Wolverine. We've got the Silver Samurai. I don't have time to go over... If you don't know who Wolverine is, you probably wouldn't want to be interested in watching this video anyway. And as for Silver Samurai, I don't have time to him either. He appeared his only on-screen appearance outside of comics was in that 2013 movie, The Wolverine. I'm trying to get these guys to stand up on a spot. Okay, so they have 1, 2, 3, if you count the wrists, 4, 5 points of articulation, and they feel pretty solid, actually. They feel like they'd be highly collectible, collector figures, but they were only sold at like They weren't that expensive. They weren't sold at collectors' prices. Got them in GameStop, relatively cheap. As it said on the package, the long sword is the katana, short sword is the wakizashi. I'm sorry, I don't speak Japanese, so actually, what if I gave him the like he wanted? So yeah, the Murambasa blade, as part of the first story arc in Wolverine's in Wolverine's series, was he got word of it showing up and that the Silver Samurai was after it, so he wanted to get to it first because it's actually based somewhat on real Japanese folklore. It's a cursed blade that it's like it grants the user great power, but it also corrupts, and yeah, it really messes with you. So Wolverine doesn't come. I remember some of the older Wolverine figures would have retractable claws that could actually go back into the. But I'm a little disappointed that they didn't go that route. But it is the name of the game to give figures like this switchable hands, almost like a NECA figure, actually. Except that if this was NECA, it probably would have a lot more accessories going with it. Maybe more ninja weapons, nunchucks, stars. And let's see, Wolverine can hold it in like a pretty good two-handed grip. And it actually looks good on him with that black outfit. Honestly, I like this outfit more than... I'd say it's second only to his signature yellow outfit, and definitely an improvement over that brown version he wore throughout most of the 80s. I can't bring up an image of that, but yeah, it's probably his ugliest outfit. Aside maybe that time all the X-Men basically wore black spandex with bright... I know Wolverine, it usually looks good in yellow, but yeah, that look in the 2000s, which is based off of the Bryan Singer movies, or influenced by it. Yeah, I do not like those anymore for reasons. Not even on Wolverine, it didn't look that good. So yeah, a quick look at a tribute to my favorite decade, a quick explanation as to where I've been. I hope the outtakes, like the camera falling over and my props falling over, wasn't too much. I probably should edit them out, but it's been a while, and I might have one more video for everyone for tomorrow or sometime, but I do need to do more research for it. But for now, I hope you have a nice night, pleasant day whenever you're watching this, and see you all around.